Let's talk about the most difficult and most frustrating part of rewrapping drums. It has to do with saving your badge and reinstalling it. So to get the badge off, that's not too hard of a process. Typically what I recommend is to file out the air vent grommet, which looks like this, out of the center. So when this is on the drum, you're just going to simply get a round file, and that part is disposable, and we replace that during the process. Getting this off, as you can see, it still has some glue residue, is simple because all you have to do is heat it up with a heat gun from the outside. Don't burn yourself, and slowly just edge it, edge it, edge it until it pops off the drum. That's all you got to do. Putting this back on, I'm going to show you the entire process. We need to make sure this is parallel first, and then once we have that, I'll show you how we glue and then reinstall the grommet. All right, so the first thing we're looking at is getting this badge, first of all, making sure it's facing the right direction. This is the top of the drum, we've confirmed. Typically on a drum like this, the badge will favor the top of the drum versus the bottom of the drum. You can also look at the bracket holes inside, and typically that's another good indicator. Some drums are parallel, so technically there is no difference between the top or bottom, but the bearing edge might give that away and give that the difference. So you always take good pictures, make sure we have that established. A lot of times I'll mark inside the drum with a piece of tape which way is up. So we're going to use our grommet, air vent grommet, just to kind of hold this in place a little bit. And we're going to try to get it as parallel as possible. And then using our square along the edge here, check exactly, and pretty good. This side needs to come up a little bit. Not that far. I believe that's my line. And this measurement may be different depending on the drum. Also, a lot of badges are not square, so then you have a whole other process to determine exactly if things are square. So that's square, that's where I want the badge to land. So what I'm going to do is use masking tape, as it won't mark anything up on here. I'm going to put one finger in the center just to hold the badge in place. Sid, if you don't mind doing the honors, just covering one corner. Perfect. And then just run your nail along those lines. Yep, just like that. Make sure it's holding it nice and tight. Beautiful. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take tape and we're going to box out the rest of the badge. This is so that if any glue were to escape from underneath the badge, it would not get on our nice new finish that we just put on there. So we're going to tape out as much as we can here of the new badge. Following those straight lines, and then backfilling around the corners here. And then depending on how crazy, you can cover all those little gaps, but depending on how crazy you get with the glue, or how necessary the glue is in the process, that'll determine exactly how much you need to worry about your precision on this step. I like to get at least all four corners covered like that. And then since we have that, we'll put a temporary piece over the badge on this side to hold it. You to hold that in place. Box out the remainder. Bam. Making sure we don't go under the badge. If we go under, then when we pull out that glue, we may have to pull out tape that got stuck underneath the badge, which is always an annoying part of the process that can happen afterwards. Just like that. And I just do my corner pieces over here. Bam. And bam. Take off my temporary piece. And now we know that's where our badge is going to live. So pull this guy off. Make sure it doesn't get stuck underneath anything. That's where our badge outline goes. We take our glue, which can be, here, slide this over. Oh my God, thank you. We take our glue, which is just some generic super glue, put a couple dabs We're really after the corners because there's going to be pressure from the air vent grommet holding in the middle. Doing that. Don't do anything that's closer to the edge than where I'm going, basically, because when you squish it down, it's going to seep over there. And that's it. Less is more with super glue type product. All right, slide it back over. Just got to get this straight down. Like so. And we're just going to make sure with our air vent that's going to go through nicely. I'll just hold all 4 corners down for a few seconds. Very exciting television. Perfect. Great. And now we're ready for the final part of the process, which is securing this air vent, the real big secret. All right, so the last step of the process is to secure everything in place with this air vent grommet. That pops right into there. And then we're going to put the drum facing down, resting the air vent grommet independently on the granite countertop. This is what we use to level drums and make sure, come this way a little bit, make sure that everything is nice and level with bearing edge wise. It's also a great hard surface that we're going to use. You can use metal as well to do this part of the process. And so we're going to take our ball bearing, 3/4 inch ball bearing there, and just give it a few light taps as centered as possible and flare out that part of the air vent grommet on the back end. And go a couple more times here, and then when we get close to it putting pressure, we switch over to a nice little jeweler's hammer. So this has a convex edge to it, so we can just kind of tappity tap the edges all into place, holding it exactly where we want it. Beautiful. So now we want to check the front of the drum as well. Make sure, usually I use to do the fingernail test, make sure that's making contact the whole way around. So what we have here on the front is that beautiful final product. And then in the center, we have our air vent grommet nicely in place, holding everything together. Then all we have to do is remove our tape from the front, and we have a perfectly parallel, level, non-broken, preserved, reinstalled badge on this beautiful vintage Ludwig drum.